Good evening. I have a jar filled with plastic inks. I want you to stop for a second and think. How many are in here? Once you have your number, turn to a table partner and tell them how you got that number. Okay, she said there were 5 layers and between 30 and 35. Anybody else have a different way of figuring this out? Okay, well, oh yes.
So yeah, I did 6 around the bottom.
Uh-huh.
And then I counted 6 up because you had it turned a different way.
Okay. And you came up with 36. There are 35 in here. But more importantly, this is what my students do. They roll it around and they try to count each and every one, but I tell them, look at the size. How many groups of 5 might you see? How many groups of 10 might you see? And then I write down, I'm a shorty, sorry. We write down their estimates. And then we gather around on the carpet in a big circle and we dump it out. And we use a tens frame or a hundreds chart and we count out how many are inside. As we're counting, if we have overestimated or underestimated by a large amount, I say, wait a minute, let's start over. Who wants to change their answer? Halfway through counting. And so we'll change our answers. Well, sorry, I'm on the wrong page. This helps them develop number sense and rounding skills. And this is just one way I use numbers in my classroom. But this is not the sort of engagement where my students started this year in math. Students with special needs tend to have shut down by the time they get to my classroom. The pace and the rigor of their general ed classes has overwhelmed them, and they've started showing avoidance behaviors. They will act out and stop at nothing so that they don't have to answer in front of their peers. Maybe some of you have similar experiences to this or have students you're thinking of right now. Well, my philosophy in teaching is that I need to focus on making them welcome, safe, and feel valued. I really can't teach until this happens. Once my students have adjusted to my class and started to develop self-confidence, then they start to feel and see success. In my classroom filled with students with unique needs, I'm able to slow down and even back up to where they feel comfortable and they can experience success. I need to rebuild their confidence. And I do this by making learning fun by just playing games with numbers. I introduce things that they already are successful at, and this provides them with some mastery of some basic concepts, and it helps them build automaticity and confidence. This year I started with 3 students who could not count past 3. So that's where we started. We started with 0s, 1s, and 2s. They knew that, and that helped build their confidence. Then we added in 3. Here's an example. I had them tell me how many blocks they had, and then I had them shut their eyes. And I said, open your eyes. How many blocks are under my cup? Imagine their face when they could tell me. It was magical. They were so excited that they wanted to tell their peers how they got their answer. They could justify their thinking, and they had now become the experts. Over the next few weeks, we added in 4, 5, up to 10. Once we got to 10, we could start working on what makes a 10. How do you know? Show me. And they were now the mathematicians in my classroom. Each day, a different student helper, as part of their duties, are in charge of our morning routine. We start with attendance. There's some of my samples, sorry. We start with attendance, and so they drag their classmates' names into a tens frame. We leave the ones to the side that are absent, and then they write an equation, and I tell them, first we're going to write it horizontally, and they write it out. Then we write it vertically, and I use hand motions, and they become so familiar with this math vocabulary just in a daily routine. When we look at the date, we can discuss how many Thursdays are there in a month? How many more days till a special holiday or a friend's birthday? How many more days till the weekend? We graph the weather. We discuss weather patterns and say, how many more sunny days than cloudy days? How many fewer rainy days than sunny days? These are concepts that are very hard to teach, but when I show them and we talk about it every day, it just becomes automatic. At the beginning of the year, I assign each kid a number for the class for the year. So when it's their turn, they put their number in the center and they write the 2 numbers that come before it and the 2 numbers that come after it. And then we read it as a class forward and backward. I can ask a kid, can you count backwards from 17? And they can do it because we practice every day. We also count how many days we've been in school. And then this links into an online rec and rec. As we were counting up toward the 100th day of school this year, the kids realized that the number of beads we hadn't counted were how many more days till the 100th day of school. They pointed that out to me. I also show them that a tally mark looks like a hand. It's 4 with a thumb that can grab that bundle, and we count by 5s for how many days we've been in school. We also use the hundreds, tens, and ones blocks. And we talk about how many hundreds make up that number, how many tens, how many ones. Although this takes about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on their need for prompting, I feel this is an empowering way to start their day because we cover so many math concepts in a relevant and meaningful way. And I want to give another shout out to Melissa Brennan. She and I worked together for many years at a school, and she started this idea, and together we've just developed it, and I add to mine because I have older kids, she has younger kids, so we do things a little differently, but it's just amazing the knowledge that our kids have after they've done this every day. And our kids have unique needs, and they can come up in front of the class, they talk the whole class through it, they're in charge, and it's amazing. When you enter my classroom, there's a counting activity taped to my door. So I might ask them to count to 10 or count backwards from 10. I ask them to count nickels to 50 or dimes to 100. The special thing about this, it's a secret password to get in the class. So everybody has to say it, and they're so excited. The helper of the day gets to stand there and make sure everybody says it correctly. And so often these kids need that extra repetition, and they don't even know they're doing math. So, when I do sit down to teach math, before I do, we subitize. And there is an amazing video by Jack Hartman, there's several, on subitizing. My kids challenge each other to see who can say that number first. And it's just an amazing math competition that just happens in my room every day. We run the numbers up to 10 and back down. We use hundreds charts. We show quantities on our fingers. But all these things I've mentioned, I'm not specifically teaching. They're just concepts they're exposed to daily. So then, when I am teaching that concept, it's so easy for them to do math. They're familiar with the concept, they're familiar with the vocabulary, and they find quick success learning these new ideas. They transfer this knowledge to new situations, and they're able to share their thinking with their peers. I have a math manipulative table at the back of my room. They know at any point in the day, if they need something to help them with math, they go grab it. They can grab whatever works for them. I have jewels, shiny rocks, rec and recs, tens frames, hundreds charts, number lines, and I would say 90% of my class grabs something every single day. But my favorite part is when I get a student that said, Mrs. Lungren, we forgot to do math today. They have no idea we have been doing math all day long. Thank you.